Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I am Amabel.
and welcome back to Amabel Goes to Forex School, where I'm worried that the lesson we're going to be teaching in the very near future here is how to gracefully cope with defeat. I'm like real anxious about our position to the point where I like brought it up the other day.
Yeah.
I feel like we're pretty squished. And to be clear, it's turn 40 and we have 4 cities down. This is not a slow expansion. I would not describe this as like us being small for the moment or anything, but we are squished between two players who are a little bit aggressively inclined. Green sued for peace with us, which is nice, and we can see here they are unafraid due to the strength of their armies. These guys are leery because we're bordered up with them, and we did attack their units at one point. We attacked their units specifically so we could become bordered up with them. They remember, but we haven't seen any other aggression from them since. But I am a little worried that we might get starved out here, and I think we're not doing super well overall on our resources.
Well, this is the thing of being more challenging with that community patch, though, you know?
Not really. Like the danger from the other players is the other stuff is just like I guess to some extent me expanding before I would have otherwise because I was afraid we were going to lose the territory.
Yeah.
But a lot of this is just we just don't have the stuff that I would like. So we're working hard on improving our approval levels. We're getting our basic resources in play. We're sciencing as hard as we possibly can. And just as a quick reminder here, because it has been a minute since the last episode, our current faction quest is to pacify at least 5 villages within our empire. We have 2 pacified villages in Graldom already. Unfortunately, due to the bloodthirst of everyone in the area, many of the other villages in our regions are destroyed. So we're going to have to rebuild some of them. We have 1 active village over here that I think we are on our way to parlaying with.
Okay.
Hopefully we can get a quest from them and turn them that way. But even if we do, that'll still only be 3 pacified villages. We need to rebuild at least a couple. And that is a pretty expensive prospect, generally.
Okay.
So, an unfortunate place to be in. Also,
yeah,
Red has really put some resources into a navy. 5 fire ships on turn 40 is not cheap. Anyway, that's where we're at. How
I want
you
to say
doing?
that I believe in you,
Okay.
first of all. Secondly, if you can zoom out slightly,
Yes.
this is something we noticed before we started recording.
Ah, yeah, okay.
That city, region, whatever it's called, is called Amabel. And I know we're at peace with green. But if we ever are not at peace with green and you can conquer that so we can change the name to Amabel with 2 M's still, just add a B there, that'd be great. I feel like even if you lose, that counts as winning for me.
Okay, so the special Amabel objective. Okay, Khazar has moved over here. He initially spawned in this location, which is why we have vision of it, I believe. But he has burrowed to the other side of the world. It looks like there's maybe a lot of water. It looks like we maybe have a lot of sort of islandy mass going on here. Might be worth it for us to develop some boats, potentially. Sort of a distant concern. All right, and with that, we probably want to use some dust to accelerate construction, but we also need to be sitting on dust to renew our pillars. It can be a little bit difficult to get the game to show me the pillar tooltip, but I'm curious how many turns are left on this. Actually, I guess if I select the city, no, that doesn't do it. There is a way to get a tooltip for the pillar. Okay, wait, it showed it to us briefly there. Oh, it's driving me crazy. Okay, it's fine. You know what? They'll expire when they expire, but I would really like to know when that is. Also, we are barely holding on right now. Note, winter. 1 to 20 turns from now. Could be real bad, actually.
Well, even if it is, It is a valuable lesson.
And I'm really hoping these green dudes aren't planning to come over here and burn down this village for fun, because they do love to do that. I would like to just have a chat with them, please.
You know, sometimes games end.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
All right, what they got for us?
Okay, they want us to prove that we respect minor factions and integrate them into our societies. Return to this village with an army that contains a minimum of 3 minor faction units. They'll give us really good armor tech, but it does feel a little unlikely to me. Okay, that rogue Setsuki was dealt with by somebody else. Not a big surprise. We had no way of getting to it. Huh, and green is giving us a warning. That's a little concerning. They maybe think in the near future that they're going to be imposing some kind of negative treaty on us. We have the power to transform this world into basalt plains and mighty volcanoes. Tread carefully. I am treading as carefully as I know how, sir. I want that to be very clear to everybody. Do we currently have anybody assimilated? We do. Okay. So we could, if we could build 3 centaur units, we could just ride back down here and show them, and they'd be like, yeah, cool, we're in. But that's expensive. Centaur is not a cheap unit. I'm going to try to get these guys a little bit more central. So we're in a better spot to sort of respond to threats, should threats arise. You may not have seen or heard of them, but one of the greatest marvels of Auriga's diverse wildlife is the stunning skyfin. They've been called flying carpets, lizard angels, floating dreams, and many odder things. Famed not only for their beauty, but their rapid movement and their ability to harvest strategic resources, any leader of an empire would want one under their command. And luck, it seems, is with you. A skyfin has been spotted, moving alone across the wilds of Auriga. Perhaps it can be yours. Well, it seems like it's pretty far away from where we are, so probably not, actually. Seems very unlikely. That is what they look like, though.
Okay, that's pretty good.
I love a skyfin.
Do you have a favorite centaur? Like
a favorite centaur? I'm not sure I could give you the name of a centaur. Any centaur character at all, honestly.
Okay.
Do you? Do you have one?
Yes. My favorite centaur is what's it? Comet the Super Horse.
Okay. I believe that's a real thing.
I
don't like that.
So there is a centaur who is in love with Supergirl, and he can transform himself into a human who is like romantically attracted to her. Like she's romantically attracted to the human version, and also into a horse that she rides around with and takes care of as a pet.
Okay.
This is a real thing and not someone's
DC Comics.
fanfic.net.
Like I know like comics in general are goofy, but DC Comics in particular, I just fucking I don't know what to do with them. All right, so we've got a weird minor visual bug here. This happens very occasionally when two units try to move into the same tile at like exactly the same moment. So it appears that our warriors are in the space with this guy, but as you will note, if I try to issue them a move command, their movement orders are all issuing from this tile because this is where they actually are.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I got that explained before people got too confused. So red is moving stuff around our territory, in particular a whole army worth of troops. But they're badly injured. Fleeing some kind of combat, maybe? And they've jumped in the water, so I'm hoping they're not here to do violence to us. That would be rad. Oh, also this. I totally forgot we had the Lake Zoltan quest running. We do have a titanium extractor. It is extracting the titaniums. And so we have increased titanium and gotten 150 dust, and I think that's going to be really important to our near future plans. Success. Like cast a careful eye over the supplies, his stern face finally segging into a broad grin. We are going to make history, he tells you. So, step 2.
Is that word segging or segwaying?
Segging.
Okay.
Did you notice how there's no way in it?
No, but
Segway has more letters. It does.
I'm not sure it does.
It does.
Okay.
Lick's enthusiasm for the forthcoming expedition is infectious. Even if he's pursuing a fantasy, you can't doubt his sincerity nor his energy. Among the soldiers chosen to accompany the vaulter, you can feel an excitement, a feeling that they have real purpose, one that might change everything. Although you shouldn't, sometimes you indulge the dream too. Lick has weaved magical words about the stars, how each point of light among the millions in the silky black night sky is a chance of a fertile world where your people could be truly free. Lick has identified 2 sites of endless ruins that show the effects of the great forces that would have been required to lift a ship into the sky. He is convinced that vindication is near, so he thinks he has found a spaceship launch pad. A couple of places that could be spaceship launch pads. So we need to investigate 2 more ruins on land with hero-led armies. We don't have access to a lot of ruins that we haven't explored right now.
Okay.
And obviously our lone hero is, at the moment, running a city. Do we have... Are we still open borders with... Yeah, we're still open borders with green. So there is an unexplored ruin down here. And I guess there's one there, but red's troops will probably kill us if we get close to it. So yeah, maybe we turn the army around, or maybe we break off like one guy from the army to go back and grab that. Okay. And now that we have a little bit of money, I think I'm going to go ahead and plow 112 of that dust into completing this mill foundry immediately.
Okay.
This city needs to be able to build stuff. Okay. Graldom finished its market, and look at that. We're finally getting some damn bonuses around here. So next up, we can build the alchemy workshop, although I might argue that the one thing we're still doing okay on is science time. Mm-hmm. We just finished the technology for building roads and trade routes. I think maybe digging into that is a good idea while we have a moment here.
Okay.
And then, speaking of technologies, we are still outputting 138 science per turn. That's pretty real. We could pursue diplomatic tech to allow us to negotiate peace with other players instead of having to wait for them to do it. We could research further approval buildings, because our approval is kind of sketchy right now. I believe it's not really going to hold. Like, we're 62%. But we also have a plus 10 approval booster running. Mm-hmm. It's going to run out in 7 turns. Or we could like research some weapons tech and try to get ourselves into a position where we're a little bit more defensible if red does come knocking, or if green backstabs us or something. That might be a good idea, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. We have a little bit of resource income. We couldn't build many troops, but if they can be the most elite troops on the surface of the planet, that might be good enough. So Nathan is currently rebuilding a minor faction village to get us up to 3. Morinlock has an okay amount of production, and we have the minor faction village up as the next thing there. Here's hoping we can actually get through all this. So I tend to play the game at about this zoom level, all of the things being equal. I know people don't always love this because it doesn't show the detail on the tiles or anything. Okay,
no,
green has pushed us back to Cold War, which is concerning. Somebody got to Master of Trade before we did. That's not our Master of Markets. That's not a big surprise. We don't even have trade technology or our trade buildings built yet. Zarcha Atenul has hit level 4, and I think we're just gonna take the final level of this, another massive science output gain.
Okay.
These early flat gains to science output are they're really powerful.
Yeah, because those advantages over time are going to be like.
Well, and also just like the way they're paced. Like we just took a skill point that gave us 14 science. This entire science building here is 10 science plus 10% to the city yield. Like she is that just that one skill point we put into her is a library and a half worth of knowledge. So we do want to rebuild. There's a damaged thing here. We want to build for basic resources as well. If we weren't like heading into winter any moment now, I would certainly go for the seed storage. But since we are, it's going to take forever to build roads here, which is a shame because this is the place where we most need them. It's the place that's sort of like furthest from the city center, or the center of the empire.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we just get on it because we really do need them. I think I'm just gonna lean into that, and we're gonna hope to figure it out.
Okay.
Now, do we want to split one guy off? Because what we could do is break one unit off, head over for this, and then the turn we're about to search it, we just warp Zarcha Atenul over. Do a real quick temporary teleport thing, and then warp her back to the city as soon as we no longer need her on that. And this way we can still put at least a couple of bodies in the middle of the empire and be ready to respond to stuff. With Green having pushed us back to Cold War, we are now allowed to attack their units. 26 attack, 48 defense, 43 78. That's a little bit harsher. The thing is, if we attacked right here, obviously we have the garrisons of both the cities. So like the question is it worth angering them to reduce the size of their functional army?
That's a good question.
Because they are sort of like displaying aggressive intent already, right? They might be at the point where they're thinking of going to war with us. And taking a couple of their units off the table could help with that. Could help avoid that. But also, they're not very good units and they're not very many of them. I think I'm not going to attack. Maybe they're not planning to go all the way to war. Gosh, if they're not, though, why did they break the peace? What would be the point? If we did attack... Okay, so the combat area includes a few tiles there at the southeastern part that we can't see. And we know they had a full army running around our territory very recently. If their full army was in that space and showed up to this battle as reinforcements, it would be probably pretty disastrous. Yeah, I'm going to keep my hands to myself for the moment. Let's hope that we don't end up regretting that choice. All right. We got our rebuild and winter. What a moment for it. Okay, so real bad news.
Yeah.
Oh. Hostile minor faction units are better right now. The neutral angry guys get bonus stats. But the cost of assimilation is lowered during the winter. That's kind of fun. But more importantly, the basic effects of winter have reduced our income so much that we are now minus 20 dust per turn.
Oh.
And Red is running a stealthy little army around in our territory I think for the express purpose of stealing our pearls. So I'm gonna take these. Hi, these are mine. Fuck off.
So, if you're at minus 20 dust per turn, like, can you end up with negative dust?
If we deplete the treasury and are still at negative, what will happen is things will start getting liquidated, things that have upkeep costs.
Oh.
It'll start with our troops, and then if we run out of troops and there's still and we're still in the negatives, it'll start liquidating buildings with upkeep costs. That would be very, very bad.
No, yeah, and I feel like...
However, weather indicator says this is going to be a nice short winter, only 1 to 7 turns. Even if it is 7 turns, we will not run through the whole treasury at this rate.
Okay.
So, could be worse. Not likely to leave us in a great position as far as reapplying our pillars when they end. But there's nothing we can really do about it.
So something I don't think we've talked about much, because in the previous series that we ran through Forex School, the previous course, and the first half of this course, you were kind of cruising through each of those games. But, like, if you start to do poorly, if you start to lose, it gets harder to recover, yes?
Yeah, these games do not have necessarily the most robust, like, catch-up mechanisms. That's not really their primary...
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can absolutely get into a death spiral, particularly on a higher difficulty where the AI's early game advantages are, going to keep them running strong. But you have to remember that the AI in most 4X games, I want to say, the AI is bad enough that you will have time to right yourself and get your growth ramp going again at an angle that will take you past the AI's level of power. Here, in this particular game with the community patch installed on a difficulty level this high, that's way less likely to be true.
Yeah.
And so we are just in tremendous danger. We are really hoping for a short winter.
Yeah. Do you, so we play a lot of board games.
We do.
Together, you and I. But we tend to play board games that have not necessarily catch-up mechanisms, but where, like, you don't quite have the same kind of negative reinforcement feedback loops.
Mm-hmm.
Do you enjoy those in games?
Do I like it when games have catch-up mechanisms?
No, the other way around.
Do I like it when they don't? Okay.
Like, do you like being in danger when you're playing a board game?
To a certain extent. I think, like, a board game and a 4X are very different in the sense that, like, I know this is not 100% the case, but let's be honest about the majority of the way these things are played. A board game is a multiplayer thing and a 4X is not.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that it sucks. It does suck for a person at the table to be out but not out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, it certainly can. Like, I run into that with, I would
much rather have, like, real player elimination.
Yeah.
Than situations where, like, somebody at the table can make a mistake on turn 1 and they're out now, they have lost. But
they have to sit in it.
But they have to sit there at the table and have a bad time for the next hour or whatever. When 4X games are played in multiplayer, I feel like there is real player elimination in 4X, so that kind of helps with that. The game is not necessarily built around the expectation that you will be there the whole time, so even if you want to just, like, concede, it doesn't break everything the way it would break many board games for somebody to just be like, okay, I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm debating crossing the border here. It's going to take another turn of movement. It's going to be more than one turn of movement from this position to that position because of winter move speeds. Green has a building right here. They have an emerald extractor and also this village, so they can see us. And I'm a little worried that if I cross the border here and end my turn right there, they're going to close their borders on us and force us back out rather than allowing us to run deeper into their territory.
Okay.
But like, whatever. If I cause them to spend their influence in that way, a closed borders treaty is not cheap. I guess that's a win in itself because that's resources that they will not be able to use to declare war on us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you'll notice I am building the roads structures in all of our cities at this point. It sure would be cool if we could get a thriving trade network going. Also, our pillars ran out.
Well, now we know when that is.
So, I think we're going to go ahead and put 2 pillars up again, but this is a place where we could get ourselves into some trouble. Let's go bonus food pillar down at the new city, probably. And then we have to ask ourselves, do we want to pay 53 to put up another pillar? If we do that, we will have 44 dust left, which means we will only have 2 turns before we're bankrupted by our current rate of dust reduction. But if the winter ends, we go back to not losing dust at all immediately.
But the winter might go another 5 turns?
The winter might go as much as another 5 turns. And we can do some things, right? We can move people over onto dust. Like, we can mitigate the effects of...
Yeah.
Having only 1 pillar running for 10 turns does feel like a lot of lost resources. But maybe it behooves us to be careful. If we get 1 more village rebuilt, we'll be at 160. We'll gain 160 dust immediately.
Mm-hmm.
This Lig Zoltan thing is just going to give us strategic resources, not money. I don't know. It could be really bad. It could be really bad if we don't get it. But also, like I'm saying, being that short on resources, running completely out of food. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna risk it.
Yeah.
Let's put down some more. Okay. Let's see what happens.
I really like how sharp these decisions have been this episode. You know, I know you're probably not having a great time.
I'm a little stressed.
But like, it makes for really interesting decisions, and you know, there's a degree to which the genre, from what I've seen, has a certain slackness at times, and this feels very taut.
Notice that I am not touching their pearls. That definitely increases aggression. The AI gets very annoyed if you take pearls that they think of as theirs. So I'm going to build 3 centaurs, both because we need a functional military and for the service of that quest. I'm also going to go and make sure I'm scooping my own pearls up here so that the AI doesn't feel entitled to them. And you'll notice we have some basic roads now. When you build the road structure in a city, it will build roads out to the border, to where another where other adjacent cities are. So you can see it's also build roads out to the north because there's green city up there. When Nathan finishes its roads, then the 2 connected cities will form a trade route, and we'll start generating some dust from that immediately. It's going to be a couple of turns, though. If we pulled people to dust, we can stop the bleeding. It is going to increase the time it takes to build our centaurs, of course. And actually, do we want to build centaurs at this design? Or, like, let's have a look at these troops. So, centaurs, like a lot of cavalry-type troops, they have 1 extra battle movement. These guys have free counter, which is part of what makes them so powerful. They have... So, ordinarily, a troop can counterattack if it will counterattack if it is struck in melee, and doing so consumes its attack for the round.
Yeah.
This just gives them a counterattack that doesn't consume their attack for the round once. So they will either get to counterattack twice or counterattack and also really attack. Pretty big difference. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
We currently have them, the default equips them with an axe, which gives them ranged slayer, bonus damage against ranged and support units, and a shield to, make them good against projectiles. Our proximal opponents are not really ranged fighters. So it is worth noting that we do have the ability to swap them over to spears instead. These guys can use one-handed axes or spears. Which give them cavalry slayer and also just have, way better damage because they're two-handed weapons. In particular, we just finished the technology for strategic weapons, right? So we can make long spears, we can make our weapons out of our strategic resources. So the kind of iron spear that we can build right now gives 18 attack and 8 damage. If we were to make it out of titanium instead, it's 29 attack and 22 damage.
Okay.
And it costs a negligible amount more production, but each one of these is 6 titanium to outfit. If we want to equip like armor and stuff, that is going to bring the production cost up pretty considerably, but at the very least, we can give them these weapons that make them tremendously more effective at killing.
Yeah.
And hopefully the AI will be smart enough to consider those numbers.
Yeah. I just really looked closely at the centaur's face.
Yeah.
It's a good face.
I think they have a mask on, don't they?
Oh, is that a mask? I thought they just had like goat heads.
Yeah, they're wearing like a helmet.
Oh, never mind.
I mean, those are their horns coming out of the helmet.
Okay. Well, from a distance, it looked like it was like a goat, like part human, part horse, and then part goat.
Okay.
And you know how I
could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Anyone who follows either of us on Blue Sky knows how you are with goats.
They're so good. Their faces are so good.
They're very charming creatures. Okay, we discovered Ziri's band. I'm going to be honest with you. I was hoping to discover a whole bunch of dust. But instead we found a band that will allow us to allow the hero who equips it to become invisible. It is not functional on the whole army, so it's only really works on a hero who is by themselves. And also, like I said, it's not dust, which I hate.
Yeah, and then you're going to have the dire wraiths chasing you.
Yeah. You'll notice they did not make the reference. Ziri's band, not Frodo's band. Or I guess Bilbo's band.
So, in Frodo's band,
okay.
who's the guitarist? Who plays bass? Who's the drummer?
I feel like Aragorn has like too cool for this energy, right? Like he's almost annoyed to be there. That feels like vocalist to me.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking desperately for another ruin to search. Look at how much better we are at moving through this forest now that there's a road.
It's pretty good.
Oh, thank God. We needed that very badly. There's got to be another ruin over here somewhere, right?
Maybe. What's that blue thing again? That's over.
This is a titanium deposit, and the reason it's
Okay.
got sort of blue squiggles on it is that the blue Mycera player has built a Myceran titanium extractor over it. Okay, a second Urkin has emerged. Chaka and Khazar are both out there and live. Ooh, and we can see that there's a player border. Oh, no, sorry, that's Chaka's border, right? They take over the region. Okay, bad news. The grass silk booster has run out, and that means that we are now hemorrhaging more dust per turn because our approval levels went down. 1 to 2 turns left on the winter. This winter has, in fact, run its most brutal
jeez.
course. A thing that we desperately needed not to happen. Yeah, no, it's grim. It's real grim, actually. Jeez, what do we want to... I guess at this point, I'm going to learn Pillage. This unlocks the army action, Pillage, and unlocks some like camouflage and some stealth and anti-stealth accessories that you can equip on your troops. But pillaging allows us to damage enemy structures and take, run off with the resources. And I'm not saying it's a thing we're definitely going to start doing, but I am saying it's a thing I'm thinking about. Because our economy is in a shape.
Yeah.
I might run
what shape? How would
this
you describe
army...
this shape?
Pear-shaped, I suppose.
I mean, I'm kind of into that.
It's an abstract concept, Amabel. So, I mean, we're about to have our trade routes running, and that's going to help a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But about to is, the critical part of that. Please don't attack me. I'm just trying to find ruins. They attacked me. Well, we're going to retreat because obviously we would be slaughtered.
Okay.
Our hero cannot be unassigned for 2 more turns, and sadly, the fact that they attacked us means that they're almost certain to attack us again on the next turn. There's probably nothing we can do about that.
That's rough.
Yeah, you will notice that the negative dust here is greater than our current treasury, so I'm going to bump a couple more people over to dust production to prevent that from occurring. If I move the whole city over, it doesn't add a turn to this guy. We'll reevaluate things in the light of the warm season as we get the change over here in a second.
I might have asked you this before, and you might not have known the answer. So if I did ask and you didn't, I apologize for repeating myself. But,
Damn it, there's no ruins over here.
The winter, the randomized number of turns for winter.
Uh-huh.
Do you know if that becomes more likely to end the longer it goes on? Like, is it an escalating probability
I do not know.
thing, or...
So you were talking over it, and I couldn't. I had to make a decision very quickly there. But they offered us peace in exchange for all of our pearls. Not all of them, almost all of our pearls. And Green did. And I very quickly accepted because it prevents his troops from killing my leader.
Yeah.
It was not a good deal.
No.
Okay, so somebody has moved up another technological age, and more ocean stuff is getting revealed. Somebody finished the Alchemic Institute. We are way behind on everything because the AI is doing a good job this game. But we are finishing buildings. Critical stuff. Also, the sea monsters out there. That is a verified SEP. Great news for us.
Verified SC.
Someone else's problem.
Oh, okay.
So we finished our trade building here. We have now some amount of real trade occurring. Each city that has a trade building gets to run one trade route out to another city that it is connected to that has a trade building. So you can see here, at the moment we have Nathan running trade to Graldum and Graldum running trade to Nathan because they are the only two cities that we are aware of. You can trade with friendly cities that belong to other players as long as you are at peace or better.
Okay.
So, if green builds trade structures, we will be able to run trade from Morinlock, like, to this city. And Undond also is on the green border, so we might find ourselves making some decent money here. And once your trade routes are, feeding money to each other, the sort of like the binding effect that can have, cross economic reliance, I find reduces the bloodthirst a bit.
Okay.
When going to war means losing a trading partner, wars happen less. Not never, but less. We're going to build some more production. I researched sewers so that we can push our approval levels up a little bit higher because they are not in the bonus region right now, and I sure would like them to be in the bonus region. Also, we can pull some people back from dust production here and try to focus on getting our centaurs out. I am going to produce this unit of centaurs and run it over to the capital. I guess actually for right now what I'm going to do is run it down here. Remember, having an extra army produces extra upkeep costs. I'm going to just drop them into this garrison. We want them to be in the garrison where our hero is going to be because they will, troops provide XP to their commander. Also, once there are roads running from Morinlock, a cavalry unit traveling on roads can basically get anywhere. Right, like the movement speed that we will have access to is considerable.
Yeah.
I'm running this army over toward the red border to see if there are any ruins that we might sneak across the border and interact with. We just pop our hero over, Also, notice this. A purple border. So whoever the purple player is, they have settled up against red. We have no idea what red's overall landmass looks like how many regions they have access to right now. Purple settling in on them like this might be really bad for them, depending on how much stuff they have been able to claim, to the west and south. And a lot of that has to do with how much ocean is around, which is just stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
But that's going to have a big effect. Whether or not they're feeling trapped is going to have a big effect on how likely they are to declare war on their weakest neighbor, which is to say us, almost certainly. So that is information that I would like. If there were a way to get it, I would certainly like to have it. All right. The roads around Morinlock will expand our trade network here. We will probably see our dust income adjust upward fairly significantly. Indeed, we did. Okay, we're starting to pull out of the spiral. This is corrections.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, the only ruin that we know of for sure in red territory is something we would have to run all the way around a red city to get to. It's too many turns of movement inside of enemy territory for my taste.
Yeah.
But we can safely run right up to the border here and see if we can locate anything over the border. And if not, eventually there's going to be another eclipse. And we're going to be able to search stuff during the eclipse, so. Alright, green's got a lot of dudes running around in my territory. Just keeping an eye on the stats of their men. 228 life with 112 defense. These guys can't attack for shit, but they're borderline invulnerable. So, that could be a long-term problem for us. We are definitely going to be able to pull everybody back to maximum productivity here. I am going to relocate the centaur. Actually, for the moment, I guess there's no reason. Nothing is close enough to the heart of the Empire, and we have all these roads and everything. So note, we see hard roads in Green's territory, so Green definitely has real trade structures. We're running trade routes from some of our cities to some of Green's cities. There is no manual control over where trade goes. It just happens, and they optimize for you. One hopes in the best way possible.
Okay, I mean that feels right, because one thing when we were playing Civ was you having to establish all the trade. Like that's real.
Well, that mechanic works very differently, though, right? And it's doing different things. Like, it's allowing you to spread your religious influence, and there are strategic reasons to run trade routes to specific places sometimes, and then other places other times. This system is designed for something else.
I understand. I'm not always trying to use Civ as a punching bag, though that is fun. But like, this reflects, because, again, I'm giving my background. I'm going to talk about like verisimilitude. Like,
sure,
it reflects some ways that trade works in the real world, especially when you have like a polity that is a collection of independent cities. Those cities are going to have their own agendas, and having the trade go across the borders, like that makes it makes sense to be a little something that you're not directly controlling, but something that happens as a result of geography and economic development.
Right. Again, allowing for the extremely squishy definition of you.
Yeah.
Because, like, should you be in direct control has a lot to do with whether the representation of the player is supposed to be understood to be a leader person, or like the abstract essence of every human in the society. Which I feel like is a position that only the historical ones really take. I feel like in all of the fantastic and science fiction ones, you are always a specific leader, and they operate on a like tighter time scale,
and that's a weird thing, I think, because again, one of like the primary concerns of like historical board game design is questions of scale. It's questions of who are you and what would you reasonably have control over, and it's a little sad, actually, because like the computer games can do things that you couldn't do with a board game. Like, you can model things of incredible complexity, and you can have cities and factions within cities doing their own thing, and you have limited control over it. I would adore to see that in a historical one of these games, to see a thing where like it's not just measuring, the happiness rating of this city or that city, which is, I understand that.
And more modern games are more concerned with this. This is an idea you're going to see some of in the next few things that we talk about, which are things that are a little bit more recent. So just to keep eyes on this, we are 2 technologies away from entering Era 3, which still puts us like very much behind most of the world. I'm going to take a moment here to grab a research that will improve all of our spells, +1 level for all of our magic casting.
I forgot we had magic. It's been a while.
We haven't really done any, very much combat. The world map manifestation of our magic is the pillars. And the spells are only a combat idea. Now that we're at peace with Green, we're free to run around their territory until they like formally closed their borders or something, so I'm on the lookout for ruins we could search.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the same thing with this army, just like desperately trying to see if there is a ruin somewhere that we could get to easily in Red's territory. We're 3 turns away from having the centaurs that we need for that quest. I should move this guy out to our sort of central troop repository. We're 3 turns away from completing our trade network, having roads in every part of the empire, which is going to make things a lot easier on us. We are building up more science capacity up here, and on the whole, things are going all right. All of our cities are moving in a real positive direction at the moment, although maybe not as fast as I would like. But we have to keep in mind that the AI are likely improving more quickly than we are right now. And I am very worried about that. We can see a pink border over here. So pink is in this area and potentially in some conflict with blue. Anything that has the Mycera building over it, other players can't access. So like pink is not extracting this gold right now because of all the fungus. So that will lead to tensions between those two. And I probably want to pick up some level of ocean technology sometime soon. In fact, you know what? Let's shipyard now the ability to put our troops in water and then grab dust purifier. Because I want to start getting some information about what is going on in the rest of the world. In particular, I think I want to meet Purple. We want to have a better understanding of this dynamic over here because it is going to directly affect how aggressive Red is feeling. Sorry.
Why are you sorry?
I feel like you were talking. To be clear, that was me apologizing to the audience because I feel like you were talking. Got her. I love you. I said a thing and I was like, oh no, it sounds like I'm being nice to my girlfriend and live-in partner who I love very much. Can't have that.
Yeah.
Oh, Red has formally closed their borders to us, haven't they? I'm just now realizing, yes, they totally have. Okay, never mind. I would have to declare war on them to come over here. Let's just head back to town. Okay, so we're very reliant on finding something in Green's territory to move Mr. Zoltan's quest forward. That's fine. We're working on it. And we're having some of these like kind of just slow down incremental turns where we're watching numbers go up, and look at how good our dust has gotten without having to do anything at all.
That's pretty good.
Trade routes. I mean, I say without having to do anything at all. The thing we had to do was build the trade route buildings.
Now,
which was not cheap.
Are we 3 turns from an empire plan?
We are 3 turns from an empire plan. Thank you. I was going to bring that up. That is a salient point. I am going to just reestablish the food pillars here in the 2 locations that I just had them. Just keep building up the population in the capital and the small city that doesn't have time to focus as much on its population. But yeah, let's talk Empire Plan, because this is the time where we would want to make some changes in case we are able to make some changes. So it would be really sick to be able to get the plus approval Empire Plan. That node by itself is 240 influence. I didn't think there was any possibility of it, so I haven't like stressed about it too much. My thinking was we were probably just here again, plus 20% science.
Okay.
Just maintaining that, because the tier 2 nodes are way too expensive and we have no bonus influence income at all. We just have our very basic stuff. Our cities are small. While we are getting important buildings built in them, we're not expanding district-wise. And failing to expand district-wise is actually a bigger problem for this faction than it is for others, because it means we're not getting as much payout from our pillars as we could be. It's a bad thing, but I've been trying desperately to get our empire approval level up a little bit so we can start getting some of these bonuses. And building out more boroughs causes approval issues in the short term, at least. So it's like a really difficult balance to walk, and I'm probably not playing very well. I'm rusty. But I'm not really sure how to find the time to expand at the moment, to the time to expand the individual cities, and that is the thing that would result in the most immediate additional influence income. So I was kind of figuring we would just like take the base low-level empire plan and try to be in a more impressive position in 20 turns for the next one.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And I apologize if that's not been clear, because, like, you know, there's a lot of considerations to considerate. Okay, you guys, I guess just get back over here. Is this a temple? This is a temple. I think I want them just hanging out near the temple. At some point, the dust eclipse is going to occur. I guess for the moment, there's 2 spaces left in this city's garrison, right? Yeah. For the moment, they may as well, if they're just going to be hanging out, they may as well sit in the garrison so we're not paying the organizational fee for that army. We could be making 4 extra dust per turn. Okay, Undon's roads are finished, which is great news. Because it was very difficult to defend before, and now we can actually get down there. Just, you know, too far away from everything. Hi. Are you having a problem?
Who's having a problem?
This guy's just running around in front of me, making my life difficult.
I think he's just friendly.
Okay, well, there's a ruin. It's going to take us 2 more turns to maneuver over to it, but it is a ruin. We have finished the centaurs, so let's get the 2 centaurs here. We're going to merge them all together.
Mm-hmm.
Drop them in Morinlock for the turn, and then they will run down to the Saratan village next turn, which will pacify the Saratan village, get us another point of population for Undond, and complete this step of our faction quest all at once.
Because we'll have 5.
Because we'll have 5 pacified cities, yeah. All right. Sewers and then science. And, you know, our population's still growing. We're still gaining capacity. We're making a lot of dust per turn now.
I see that.
With a little bit of luck during the eclipse, we might be able to hire on some additional heroes, which would be lovely. Last game, we had so many resources, we were able to kind of like engage in all the systems at once. This game is much more typical, I think.
Yeah, and I'm glad we did we were doing a second or third.
Second, really. You didn't really get to see much of the game on that first one.
I didn't, you know. I counted.
Oh no, a dearth of dust. Dust overexploitation has unbalanced the cycle. For the next 9 turns, every tile that produces dust produces less dust. Good news is, because we aren't getting most of our dust from expansion the way we were last game, this hits us a lot less hard, right? A lot of our dust generation sources are internal, not land-based. And so we're still positive.
Yeah, until the next winter,
which is 6 to 26 turns away. So even in the worst case scenario, it will only have a couple of turns of overlap.
Okay.
It's really not too bad.
Yeah. By the time we catch a break.
Hey, this is not catching a break. This is careful preparation.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to diminish your...
Somebody's got to kill these like random wandering troops. I guess we're probably in a good position for it. They're higher level than we are, but they are also Driders, and Driders are kind of garbage units. And we have the city garrison. I am going to fight this manually just to try to maximize the amount of work that the city garrison is doing in the fight. I guess we're... you know what? It probably makes sense just to rush them. Never mind that thing I just said. So one thing that is kind of interesting about centaurs, one way that they break with a lot of other cavalry units, is they are effectively fast-moving heavy infantry. And what I mean by that is most cavalry units, in addition to having their like fast movement, have a skill that has the word charge in the name that rewards them for moving.
Yeah.
They'll get, like plus 25% attack if they moved at least one tile, and then plus 10 attack for each tile that each movement point they spent, or something like that. Centaurs don't have any kind of charge. They're really incentivized to just like get into position very quickly and then stand there and trade blows.
So they're dragoons.
Yeah, I mean that's not what dragoon usually means in strategy video game terminology.
Okay. But in the real world.
Yeah.
Wait, so what does dragoon mean in?
Well, there's a couple of different things depending on exactly what like tradition of games you're coming from.
But it's not move quickly into the place and then fight dismounted and.
Right. Yeah. Here's a thing that's maybe going to blow your mind. Very, very few games have a concept of a cavalry unit becoming dismounted.
That is fucking wild to me. That's bonkers.
A unit that's on horseback is always on horseback. Very unusual for that not to be the way it works. So I'm doing this to maximize our adjacencies here, trying to put as many bodies adjacent to both of them as possible, while simultaneously keeping our own adjacencies because I'm working the morale system.
Yeah.
In case you were curious why I am positioning the precise way that I am.
I understood that.
So you see this guy. This guy's on plus 30% attack and defense.
So dragoons in video games, strategy games.
Yeah. So you're likely to see like a sort of a skirmishy type unit, in more realistic games, or like some kind of heavy cavalry. But again, dismounting is simply not a thing. For engine complexity reasons in most of these games. Unless you're talking about Final Fantasy or anything that is inspired by Final Fantasy, which is to say probably like almost anything that has anime graphics, where a dragoon is a kind of heavy infantry soldier who can leap hundreds of feet into the air and primarily attacks opponents from above with a spear. You leap into the air and you come down on them with the spear.
All right.
They're fucking cool. Like they're rad.
Yeah, I don't know why that's a dragoon.
We should play Final Fantasy Tactics sometimes, or sometime. It's a neat game.
Oh yeah, no, I have played that. I was very bad at it.
You're bogged down by real world tactical expectation.
A little bit, yeah. And then also like I just because each character has like each class has like different like.
I'm just gonna go for this.
Job trees or whatever they are, and like because I made poor decisions early on. By the time I got probably fairly early into the game, but several hours in, I was screwed. There's no way to go forward because I had a garbage army because I didn't make the correct choices.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry.
But I would love to watch you play some of that.
You know what? I have never actually played through Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, which I hear super good things about. So maybe we'll rig that up as a game for us.
Okay.
Anyway, found 70 dust in these ruins, and The digs unearthed copious valuable materials. Look at all that glass steel. A large cache of endless writings, but of a vessel capable of traveling the stars, there is simply no sign. And Lick is furious. For such an academic, learned man, you'd never have guessed that Lick could work himself up into such a rage. That first night, when the expedition had explored every last antechamber in the scorched endless ruins, when the soldiers sat exhausted from all the debris they'd cleared, when not an inkling of a so-called starship materialized, Lick's animal cries of frustration echoed through the entire ruin. The next day, his serenity returned. And his fire. A setback, he called the expeditions. Nothing more. With the new endless writings uncovered together with his old research, he was certain new leads would be discovered. The endless were spacefaring gods, he says. The destruction throughout this ruin could only have been from successive launches of giant vessels. He calls for your renewed aid, pleads that as you have come this far with him, you must not abandon him now. He will need researchers, linguists, workshops, and more besides. But the prize will be great. Okay, so he needs scientific support. We need to increase our Empire science output by 45 points. That's a lot, but it's also something we are currently, real deep into providing. And when we do this, we'll get 20 Palladian, which is rad, because we do not have any natural Palladian. Okay, we did just finish upgrading our science buildings. That's a little awkward. But we have another large science building completing here very soon. And we can convert over to science pillars, potentially for a little while. We'll get this done. I'm not worried about it. So let's refresh this Empire plan. You know, one thing I'm not clear on, and I don't think this quest makes it very obvious. Yeah, it says increase your Empire output from by 45, but it doesn't tell you from what value it's initially judging or what the target is. Because this triggered on the turn when the Empire plans, I'm not sure if we're currently at plus 20% or, I'm not sure when the lapse between plans is. I don't know exactly how this is all going to work. It's going to be done whenever it gets done, but I do wish they made it a little clearer what the target value was,
Yeah.
We also have the ability of just bumping a bunch of people over onto science focus to force it real fast, which is a thing we might do. But for the moment, let's accomplish this goal over here. All right, they love it. And we got the exotic armor tech. Tier 3 armor is made of glass, steel, and titanium. Such diverse, oh, come on, guys.
Wait, what?
Such diverse, much unit.
What does that...
Are you okay?
Did the game have a stroke?
No, they are doing the reference here. They make the reference. This is
reference to what?
To a meme.
Oh no!
From an old, from an era appropriate meme. Yeah, that's a bummer. That's real old. You were not engaged in the internet culture so much at that time.
So is it for great justice old or
no, this is the Doge thing. This is a couple years. Don't worry about it. I'll explain it to you later.
Okay.
Seeing that you are competent to clothe, feed, and lead peoples that are very different from your own, they're like, yeah, sure, we're in. Okay, cool. So, first of all, let's talk about that armor we just got access to real quick here. Look at this shit. Let's compare our current iron breastplate, 10 defense, 26 health, versus this, 22 defense, 60 health.
That's more. Those are higher
considerably
numbers.
More, but each piece of this armor is so many units of the strategics. The glass steel armor is not bad. We could definitely do some glass steel armor. Give us a little bit more initiative, which is obviously valuable on your heavy infantry shock troop type guy. We're not going to equip it just yet because it really is very expensive. 10 units of the strategic resource for each breastplate is fairly serious. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and Well, you know what? No, I'm not going to warp our hero back yet. There's one other ruin. We can search another ruin over here. Get the XP, and then warp our hero back next turn.
Okay.
So, we find ourselves now at a moment where we don't have a... I've been leaning off of researches that require us... or they give us buildings to build. Because we didn't have, everybody's build queue was spoken for. So we have a moment here where we can start expanding our cities toward like the ocean and stuff. Doing so is going to harm our approval levels, but we may just have to. Like, more city is more good, to put it very simply. This first borough, like, where do we want to expand to? Do I want to expand to the ocean? Because this is all inland water, right? Yeah. Expanding to the ocean is not actually super valuable for this city. My suspicion is that this lake is immediately bordered, like right there. This is all land. So if we were going to expanding toward the forest gets us more, food and industry, and also keeps us expanding like alongside the pillar.
Okay.
There is an anomaly over there. That's kind of awkward to reach. But we could build the city out like... No, it's just sort of awkward. It's sort of awkward. Because I'm trying to figure out what shape we want this city to be built in, where we're able to get maximum value from the pillars, and we're also, potentially getting that. It's just a tricky one. Because if we put down... In particular, I'm thinking about as our pillars expand, we're going to get research relatively soon that's going to let us get the pillar effect area up to a 2-tile radius. And we want to make sure like as much of that improved area is inside of our city's exploitation bounds as possible. So we have to be really smart about the way we shape the cities. And I thought I was going to expand toward the forest, which is why I put the pillar here in the first place. But now I'm wondering if the tile I want most to expand into isn't the one where the pillar is, which is unfortunate because we can't do that. I may have goofed. And unfortunately, putting down a district is like a very major decision, right? Well, I don't think expanding toward the water helps us. I am just gonna go ahead and start building the borough here. We'll make this work. We'll make it make sense. We'll make it a sensible play. This is a settler who is just running through our territory, and I don't know why. He thinks there is some land on the other side of Green's territory that he's going to settle, but Green's just gonna eat his dude. We could jump our army out of Nathan and eat the dude for him. I don't know that I necessarily want to increase hostility, and I don't think that settler is going to survive. I don't think we have to kill it. Okay, this city also probably just wants to build a borough. We want to just start expanding out. We have a little bit of an army, hopefully enough to ward people off. This city is going to have the problem of there being a ruin in the middle of everything. Am I allowed to put down? No, I'm not allowed to put pillars on ruins. So Nathan, we put Nathan here because we were just trying to get the area and have it be, defensible. Have it be mutually defensible with Warrenlock. Its long-term expansion is just going to be bad. There's not really any two ways about that. Maybe we just build units here, actually. Our army is not quite full, and we did get this Ateshi Zealot design, and we haven't actually built any of them. So this is our ranged unit. that deals damage not just to the target, but also to all enemies adjacent to the target.
That's pretty good.
It is. It is pretty good. So maybe we like build one of these because we don't really have a lot of space left. But if we build one of these, then we have we have 6 military units, and thus we can make a full 6-unit army, theoretically led by a hero. So here we'll put on some decent gear. Do I want to go like full? Oh wow, there is actually quite a build cost difference. The industry difference between a tier 2 like weapon, a tier 2 basic weapon and a tier 2 strategic is like a couple of points. The difference between this tier 2 iron weapon and this tier 3 glass steel weapon is it's 4 times as expensive. If I do that, how long does it take to build the zealot? You know what? Make it happen. Let's make a really impressive zealot. Okay, and then I'm going to hit end turn here one more time just so it locks in the Empire plan, and we're going to stop at the beginning of next turn, so that's where we can pick up.
Okay.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Hopefully we are in a good spot here. It'll our faction quest should complete because it'll recount.
Okay.
It'll recount everything at the beginning of the turn. And that will give us some motivation and direction for next time. Also, we have seen Green's capital now. They have a 9 population capital over here in Rondaria. Somebody beat us to have 4,000 dust at the end of the turn. That's so much money. Holy crow, that's a lot of money. Right now we have poor income, but it's because we have a lot of armies. You know, part of it's because we have a lot of armies out. Well,
yeah,
we'll get this all settled. Sorry, we're not doing stuff right now, but we are, you know. Let's at least get through our faction questing here, so that we deal with the what do you call it, notifications. So we ensured that the minor factions are no longer a threat to our empire. I find no other assassins, traps, or hidden enemies. The security of my empire can be left to others. Now I can study my brother's scepter, his alchemies, and the security of our future. Hey, remember that whole thing about our brother?
Right, yeah.
Every morning after administering my 7 repents, I walk from the castellum to the chamber where my brother's scepter hangs, and take it in my hands. The instrument hums with a strange power, as if it is restless, as if it still seeks something.
This is not getting better.
I imagine Verda holding it, spinning it, mastering it. He's our brother. He's our brother. Somehow it holds the key to his demise, holds the key to his work. We will found a new city, populate it with our brightest minds, and raise it as a center of mortification and study, as is needed to understand my brother's inquiries. The scepter has an affinity with the dust that permeates this world, like a diviner's rod channeling ancient forces. I am certain that dust is the key to what my brother sought to achieve, but by what methods remain a mystery. A great temple of science must be constructed, and the nature of dust and its link with pain must be explored. Word comes from outside our borders that other races are afoot, jostling for land and power. We must be leery of these races, protect ourselves from these advances in any manner we see fit, but we must not delay in our scientific explorations. The winters grow fiercer, grow longer, and I fear that one year there will come a final judgment. And I believe the means of our salvation will not be found in thicker furs or higher walls or sharper blades, but in something much deeper, something my brother glimpsed in his agonized dreams. So, unfortunately, that founding a new city is a thing that we are not well positioned to do right now. We need to make a new city, settling in an area providing at least 10 science at the moment of the city's founding. Now, we can cheat this by putting down a pillar to increase the science output of the tiles and then founding next to the pillar. So it's not really very difficult to find an area that will work, except that we just need to find a region that's not colonized. Fortunately, we picked up that tech that lets us sail around, so that's going to be a focus of next time, is getting to the water and like trying to find stuff on other continents where we can put down a new city. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. How are you feeling, sweetheart?
I am feeling like we are in a much better place. I'm a lot less nervous. I don't necessarily think we're going to win, but I do think we're less likely to be annihilated at any moment. We were in a real precarious position there militarily at the beginning of the episode, and the moment where Green broke the peace treaty, I was like, uh-oh. they're gonna show up on our border with 15 golems, and we're just fucked. Now I'm feeling a little bit more secure. We have a little bit of an army. We have a friend who we're a little bit more economically bound to. I think we're going to see less of that waffling from them.
Okay.
I have hope. I have some hope. So that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, we're setting sail, I guess. Let's hope that we find land before the sea monster finds us. And we'll see you then.